Declawing Cats, Part 2. In Part 1, I talked about what declawing is. Now I want to talk about the effects that it can have. Starting with the risks of the surgery and anesthesia in general, then how declawing affects the gait and movement of the cat permanently, behavior changes such as inappropriate elimination and biting, and why declawed cats must remain indoors. So first we've got surgery and anesthesia. All surgeries carry risks, that's no shocker. Onychectomies and tendinectomies are no different. It's usually best when we're talking about animals to avoid anesthetizing them unless we absolutely have to. We try to do it as few times in their life as possible. Just as a general rule, the best time to declaw is usually during the spay or neuter surgery so that you reduce the risks of anesthesia. The recovery. Most cats are declawed using guillotine trimmers. This is the most common routine procedure, and that means that the blade cuts through the paw pad in that one. I talked about this in the last video. The paw pads contain highly sensitive nerves, and that's what causes the pain in the recovery. In the event that part of a bone is not removed completely, it may try to heal and grow back, causing even further complications, and the risk of infection is present, as with any surgery, any recovery. Cats must continue to walk during the recovery and eliminate in the litter box, and this is what makes the recovery of a declaw unique to most other surgeries, is that they're taking that wound that you've created during surgery and they're walking on it. They're putting weight on it, putting pressure on it, and then when they use the litter box, they're putting it in a very dirty setting, crawling with bacteria and feces and urine as well. And this is why the toes are impossible to keep sterile, is you can't stop a cat from doing that. It's just got to happen that way. So the pain. There is less pain involved when the paw pad is not cut. That's when you use the laser method. But just remember that less pain is not equal to no pain. It reduces the problem, but it doesn't eliminate it. And pain is a difficult thing to study. It's not, you can't measure pain, not even in ourselves, never mind in a cat. Every cat's body will react differently, and some will be in more pain than others. And then another contributor to how we detect pain in an animal is that animals instinctively hide their pain. It's a survival technique, you know. You can't just advertise how weak you are in the wild. It doesn't happen like that. So to some owners, their cat's misery is obvious, and to others, they can't even tell. The cat behaves completely normally. This is not necessarily an indication of pain. Like I said, we can't measure it. But the reaction that you can observe in the cat is a combination of the pain that they feel and the degree to which they hide it. Okay, the gait and the movement. This is a big thing. First, I want to talk about weight distribution. I've got a person's foot on the right, and I've got tiny little cat paws on the left. I hope you can see. They've got a little bit of red on the toes and a lot more on the paw pad. So we've got basically two different areas where the weight is supported. It's supported on the toes and it's supported on the paw pad. This is part of what makes them silent, is that they tiptoe all over the place. You can't hear them, and it makes them great hunters. Now, when the bones in their toes are removed, so is the ability to support weight on the toe pads. This change in weight distribution changes the entire way that a cat walks. I mean, imagine if you stopped walking the way that you normally do and shifted your weight to half of your foot for the rest of your life. You can kind of get an idea of the type of situation they would be in, the kind of discomfort they would feel, the drasticness of that kind of adjustment in their life. And this is what causes the behavior changes usually, is the surgery is the cause, and we've got two main problems. The first change is litter. The litter box is essential for a cat. But if they can't use it, it's not because they're refusing, it's not because they're being stubborn, they're being little jerks. The sand or gravel type of litter is really painful when they're recovering from the surgery. A bit less so after they've already healed and everything, but you want to switch them to shredded newspaper or a softer cat litter specifically made for declawed cats. I think I have some examples. Yeah, here we go. So you want to switch them to one of these, and if you own a cat, you know that switching your cat's litter, or even the place that you put the litter box, is risky business. I mean, if they don't know where to go, they're going to go in the house, and once that starts, you can just, it's a battle. You can't get them to use the litter box again after that sometimes. So you want to go through that process before you go through the surgery process. Because trying to do it after, while they're recovering from the surgery, is just nuts. Yeah, so this is basically, once the cat finds that it can eliminate in the rest of the house, it can become a bad habit. And usually declawed cats with painful litter in their box, they know they're supposed to go in the box. They just go right next to it. Some owners think that's a little bit spiteful. They think that their cat is trying to piss them off. They're really not. They're trying to be good cats. They just don't want to hurt their feet. And biting is the other behavior change. Cats have two basic weapons. It's their self-defense mechanisms. They have their teeth and their claws. In order of importance, got front feet, the teeth, and then the back feet. So when you take away the front claws, or even all four, the teeth is the next weapon of choice. Cats don't usually use their back feet for aggression. They'll use them in a scenario like this where they need to push someone off of them. But other than that, not really. So without the front claws, an aggressive cat, that was aggressive before and that's the reason they got declawed, they will continue to be aggressive. You haven't changed their personality for the better. You might have changed it for the worse, but they're just going to continue to bite aggressively and get a little bit more vicious with their teeth. And then when you've got a cat who didn't bite or scratch before, this can cause a personality change in them, and that's a little tricky to understand if you're not really into cats. The fact that they know that they have their claws when they need them gives them confidence. It gives them an assurance. It's like, okay, even if something goes wrong, I'll be able to handle it, And then when you take that away from themselves, they become fearful. And they can lose confidence, and that can make them a little bit more aggressive. It's called fear aggression, and we just don't want that to happen. Generally speaking, I don't know anyone who does. And these are some natural behaviors that declawed cats are unable to perform. You've got kneading, which is a cat thing. They stretch their claws on your blankets and your furniture, and that's kind of why people declaw. But extending and stretching their retractable toes, just the simple act of stretching your muscles. Climbing, hunting, marking territory, and fighting, including self-defense, particularly for outdoor cats, which is why declawed cats must remain indoors. They cannot hunt, they cannot mark territory without urinating, which you don't want them to do in your house. Fighting and self-defense, they're all vitally important. I mean, hunting and fighting, I'd say, are the big ones. Despite the controversy over declawing, it's a big thing for animal people, it's universally agreed that declawed cats cannot be allowed outdoors because they are at such a disadvantage. That's, I don't even know anybody who argues that. So let's move right on to the recap. There are risks of surgery and anesthesia when you declaw your cat that you need to consider. You need to understand how it affects the gait and movement just so that you know what your cat's going through. And behavior changes. Just be aware. about the whole thing where you need to change the litter and the possibility of biting. And keep the declawed cats indoors, I'd say, is the moral of the story here, these 4 things. So thanks for watching. Please watch part 3. That one talks about ethical issues. And visit the website at animalethicsri.weebly.com for more information and like the Facebook page. See ya!